Hello everyone and welcome back to another video, and in this video we'll study about how to draw a graph from an equation given and some points are given for x. So in this type of questions, the question will be like, for each equation draw its graph for values from 02 to 03. And in the exams you might find this question like these values may not be like -2 to -3. It may be from -2, these inequality signs. With these inequality signs, -2 is smaller than or equal to x, and x is smaller than or equal to 3. So the question can be in this form as well. So if the question is in this form, that x is greater than or equal to -2 and x is smaller than or equal to 3, do not get confused. It's the same thing where the values of x has been given to you and the value of y you have to find using this equation, and then you have to plot these values of x and y is x and y coordinates on this graph paper. So first task in this type of questions is to find the values of y, the values of x which have been already given to us. So we have to find another one. So if the x values are given is -2, the next whole number is -1, we have to do just for the whole numbers, and the next is 0, and the next number is 1, 2, and 3. And for the y we have been given is y is equal to 2x plus 3. So we have to put this x, the value of x in this equation, and then we have to find the value of y. So for first point, like we put -2 in place of x. So y is equal to 2 times -2 plus 3. So in this equation, we have put the value of -2 in place of x, and now we have to find 2 2's are -4 and plus 3. This gives us -1. So when the x is -2, the y is -1. So we write -1 here, the value of y. And the coordinates will be -2, comma, -1. So these two are x and y coordinates on our graph. So this is an x coordinate and this is a y coordinate, right? So in the same way, we have to find the y values of for all these points, right? So I'll go a little quicker so that we can do just it quickly. So when we put this -1 here in place of x, so it becomes -2, right? Because 2 times -1 is -2. -2 plus 3, so it will give us a +1. So when the x is -1 here, the y value is +1. So the next coordinate with us is -1 and +1. So we write x first and then we write y. Okay, so now the next value we put 0 here in place of x, then two zeros are 0, and we are left with only 3. So the y value is 3. So the next coordinate is 0 and 3. So in the next we put just 1 here, 1 here. So two ones are 2 plus 3 is 5. So when the x value is 1, the y value is 5, and then we put 2 here. So when we put 2 in place of x, 2 2's are 4, 4 plus 3 is 4, 5, 6, 7. So it's 7, y value is 7, and then we put 3 here. So 3 twos are 6. 6 plus 3 is 6, 7, 8, 9. So it's 9, right? So now we have got these values 0 and 3 and 1 and 5 and 2 and 7 and then 9, 3, comma 9. So these are our x and y values. X, y, x, y. These all are our x and y values. So now we are going to plot these values on this graph paper. First, we should look at from which range to what range we have got these values. So the x values start from -2 to +3, and the y values start from -1 to +9. So we should have a bigger graph on the y-axis than the x-axis, because on the x-axis it's just go from -2. So let's plot a graph here, and then we make a point like this. And now this is 0 here, this one is x-axis, and this one is y-axis. Okay, so from 0, 1 square represents just 1, and towards this side it's negative x-axis, negative x-axis. Okay, and this side, this is from 0, this side, this is positive x-axis. Above this 0, it's positive y-axis, and below this 0, this one is a negative y-axis. So I do not write coordinates here because it will make it messy, so you should understand this graph. So now I will start plotting these points. The first point is -2 and -1. So the x value is -2. So the x on the x value, this is 0, this is -1, and this is -2. So our first point is -2, and y value is -1. So on the y, this one is -1. So we have to see where these two lines intersect. Okay, this is -1 and this is -2 on the x-axis. So these two lines intersect at this point. So the intersection point of x and y is our actual point where we are interested in, right? So the graph is in fact crossing that point. So let me draw this line again. So this was -2 on x-axis, and this was -1 on y-axis. So the intersection point of these two lines is here. So this is our first point, and this point is called -2 and -1. Okay, so now we draw the next line. The next point is -1 and +1. So on the x-axis it's -1, -1 is this one, and on the y-axis it is +1, +1 is this one. So these 2 points, the intersection point is this one. Okay, and the third point is 0 and 3. So that shows that the 0 on the x-axis. So on the x-axis it is 0 here, and on the y-axis it is 3. So on the y-axis 1, 2, 3. 3 is this one. So we put here a circle, and the next point is 1 and 5. So 1 on the x-axis. So this is 1 on the x-axis. From 0, this is 1 on the x-axis, and 5 on the y-axis. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 on the y-axis. So this is our point. Okay, and the next point is 2 and 7. So x-axis it's 2, and y-axis it is 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So this one is our point. And the next is 3 and 9. 3 here, and on the y-axis 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This is the point. So now if we match all these points, right? So this is our straight line graph. So in this graph, if you want to further uh, go one step ahead, so you can just predict this equation as well. So in this equation is y is equal to mx plus c. So this is the general equation of a straight line. So in this general equation of a straight line, c is the y-intercept. That means the C here is the point where this line is crossing y-axis. M here is the gradient. Right? So M is called gradient. Gradient means the slope of a line, that how a line is steep or it's less steep. How is it more steep or is it less steep? So if a line has more slope or the value of this m is more, the line would be more steeper. For example, here you can see that it's 5x. So the m here is 5. So that means this line would be more steeper as compared to this line which has M2. So the gradient is, if the gradient is more, the line will be more steeper, and if the gradient is less, the line will be less steeper like this as compared to a line like this steeper. So we can also predict this equation. If you want to study this more about how to find the equation, you should watch another video, and in the other video I have explained in detail how to find this equation and gradient, and how to find the gradient from this equation and y-intercept. So here the equation is of this line is y is equal to 2x plus 3. So at 3 on the y-axis, it is crossing, this line is crossing at point 3. So you can see this line is 1, 2, and 3. So on the y-axis at 3 point, this in this equation here, you can see it's crossing the y-axis and its m is 2. So its gradient is 2. That means if there is nothing, then we can write it as 2 over 1, or change in y-axis over change over x-axis. So this line, for every one square on the x-axis, two squares it's changing on the y-axis. If you take this point as a measuring point, from here you can see on the x-axis it's just one square, and on the y-axis it's two squares. One, two. In the same way, again from this point to the next point, again on the x-axis it has 1, and on the y-axis again it has 2. On the x-axis again it has 1, and on the y-axis again it has 2. So this m means the change in y-axis divided by change in x-axis. So for every point if you take on this line, the change for every 1 point change on the x-axis, there will be 2 points change in the y-axis, or this is also sometimes called rise over run. That means how much the line rises on the y-axis is compared to the run, the change over y-axis. So the details video you can watch in another video. So these all questions are like this, how to solve these all questions. So we'll solve just one question about these application as well. So draw y is equal to x plus 1 and y is equal to 2x minus 1 on the same set of axes. So we'll draw these two lines, and then we will see where the two lines intersect each other. So for that we have to again uh, generate number of values, the same procedure which we did in the above question, and we have to find the y value. Y is equal to x plus 1, and when the values of x are minus 1, we can do it 0, 1, 2, 3. The x values I selected from minus 1 to 3 because in our graph here, if you see, the values are given as minus 1 to 3 here. So keeping in view of these x values, I just want to find the y values for these equations. If I will find the values of x for minus 2 or minus 3 or minus 4, it will go outside this graph, so I cannot plot them. But in your case, if you want to check, you can generally you can start for three positive values and three negative values, like from minus 3 to plus 3. You can plot these values for the x to find the values of y. So I have used these ones. The eraser is not quite good working. Okay, so now what I do is I put this minus 1 for x in this equation here, and then try to predict the values of y. So when I put here minus 1, so minus 1 plus 1, this makes 0. So the y value becomes 0. When I put 0 here in place of x, the y value becomes plus 1, and when I put the value is 1 in place of x, so 1 plus 1 becomes 2, and when I put the 2 value here, and then 2 plus 1 is 3, and when I put the 3 here, 3 plus 1 becomes 4. Right, so these are the values of x and y which I have found using these values. So now I can do the same for the second equation as well. So for the second equation, I again put the same values because I have the same kind of graph which starts on the x-axis from minus 1 to this point. So when I put minus 1, 0, plus 1, 2, and 3, and these are the values of x, and the values of y will be 2x minus 1. So the equation is 2x minus 1. So when I put this minus 1 here, so it will give me minus 2 minus 1. This will give me minus 3. And when I put 0 here in place of x, so 2 times 0 is 0, and I'm left with minus 1. And when I put plus 1 here, so it will give me 2 minus 1. So 2 minus 1 will give me plus 1. And when I put in this place of x is plus 2, 2 2's give me 4, minus 1 will give me 3. And when I'll put 3 here, so 3 2's are 6, minus 1 will give me 5 value. Okay, so these are my values for the second graph, and now I try to plot these two graphs and see where my lines cross. So for the first one, I draw with a red one, and here, since it has been already plotted, the coordinates of this x and y have already been placed here. So when the x is here minus 1, right? So on the x-axis, it's a minus 1 is here, values are 0. So my first point is this one, minus 1 and 0. This is my first point. And my second point, x is 0, y is 1. So the x is 0 here, y 1 here. This is my second point. The third point is x is 1 and y is 2. X is 1 here and y is 2 here. So I'll just look for the place where these 2 points cross each other. And my next point is x is 3 and y is 4. So x is 3 here. So my next point was 1 and 2, and the next point was 2 and 3. Yeah, so on the x-axis it was 2, on the y-axis it was 3. This is 3, 2 and 3. And my next point is on the x-axis it's 3, y-axis it's 4. On the x-axis this is 3, on the y-axis this is 4. So if I look for the line is this intersection 3 and 4. So I match this whole line together and this becomes my equation. Y is equal to x plus 1. Now I draw the second line with a blue color. So for the second line, my x value is minus 1 and y value is minus 3. So the x minus 1 is at the same point and y is minus 3 here. So if we see, this line matches for both. So this is my first value, minus 1 and minus 3. So my second value is 0 and minus 1. On the x-axis it's 0, on the y-axis it's minus 1. So y-axis minus 1 is this one and x-axis 0 is the same. And my third point is 1 and 1. 1 on the x-axis and 1 on the y-axis. So 1 on the x-axis is this one and 1 on the y-axis is this one. So this is my third point. And my fourth point is 2 and 3. So 2 on the x-axis and 3 on the y-axis. So this is 2 on the x-axis and this point is 3 on the y-axis. So this is the point which has come up in both of the equations. So that shows that this is the line where these two lines cross each other. And my last point is 3 and 5. So 3 on the x-axis and 5. I look for the 5. 5 would be here. Now if I cross match these lines, so the second one is y is equal to 2x minus 1. So this line C is y is equal to mx plus c. C is minus 1. That means this line is crossing this y-axis at minus 1. And this line has c is plus 1. So that indicates this line is crossing y-axis at plus 1. And we have to write where do these two graphs intersect. So the two graphs intersect at point 2 on the x-axis and 3 on the y-axis. So we have to write the x and y coordinates of the point where these two lines intersect each other. And this is pretty much our answer for this question. But if you see in the table of values also, we see in both of the values the x and y coordinates in 2 and 3, 2 and 3 are the same one. So we can also know that this is the intersection point of these two values. So thank you very much for watching this video. Take care. Bye.